Hi, folks. It's Mike Novak from The Mike Novak Show with Peggy Malecki. Usually on a Saturday afternoon, I'm putting stuff together for the show. But guess what? I came to the south side of Chicago to the South Shore Cultural Center to talk to Mila Marshall and Carolyn Marsh because you might have read in the past couple of days, and we posted it on our site, that an alderman in Chicago, and that would be Leslie Hairston from the Fifth Ward, said that there's an area here where there's a bird sanctuary and a butterfly sanctuary. We're standing in the middle of it right now, just next to the cultural center on the south side. And I'm going to sort of uh, do a little pan here. Just look at all the dead stuff because that is what we were told. We were told in the press that this is all dead. Okay, it looks anything but dead. And that's why Mila decided, and Mila Kellen Marshall, I knew her as Kellen back in the day, had a press conference here today or news conference to talk about the area. And I'm going to hand the mic to you, Mila, and you can tell me why you're here.
Thanks so much, Mike. We do go way back. So I'm here because I am a longtime environmental professional, native of Chicago, and user of this sanctuary and of South Shore Cultural Center's environmental amenities. And when I read the comments, I was actually at the Kentucky State Fair, Kentuckiana, in Louisville, Kentucky, and I was immediately kind of taken aback because the word dead struck me as like, did something happen to the nature sanctuary and I don't know? And then there was another follow up comment saying that it's been that way for quite some time. And I knew that that wasn't true either. And immediately I felt this sense of sadness because with that one comment, it completely erased the years of stewardship and planning and investment and community meetings that actually happened to create this place as well as sustain this place. So I belong to a network called the Environmentalists of Color. We're professionals from across the city from many communities, and we, with their support, decided to bring light to the conversation about the golf course and the nature sanctuary, but more importantly, to express our concern with the use of the language that this system is dead, and it is not. We, like just looking at the living green things that are around, it reminded me of the issue that we had at Chicago State University in 2009. We planted a prairie, and people said that it was dead and it was ugly and it was an eyesore and we needed to get rid of it. And it took a while, but we had to communicate with the surrounding community, educate them. We made some agreements to push the prairie back away from the pedestrian sidewalk, but it was an opportunity to educate them on the natural living Chicago that was here well before we were and is the reason why Chicago is a global city today.
All right, I'll grab this mic back. And one of the things that came about in that conversation earlier this week, well, that was about plans in this area to put a golf course basically right here. As some of you have read in various media accounts, Tiger Woods is involved in that. And it has been talked about to some degree in connection with the building of the Obama Library in Jackson Park. And in fact, I was talking to this woman, Carolyn Marsh. You had a hand in putting this area together, 20 years ago, right?
Yes, I'm born in Chicago. I was born at Englewood Hospital. And so I have always been interested in nature. Well, not always. I worked in the steel mill and I wasn't always interested in nature till I got laid off. But in any case, when somebody introduced me to bird watching, then it became a question of, well, where do you go to watch birds? And you have to have habitat for the birds. In 1999, there was a framework plan, South Shore Framework Plan, where they discussed Washington Park, Jackson Park, and South Shore. And they connected all these parks as a under a South Shore plan. And I attended all of those meetings in 1999, and I was at the dedication in 2002 when Mayor Daley dedicated as a bird and butterfly sanctuary.
Okay, so that brings us to the present, and here we are in what is really quite a lovely park here, and there are plans afoot to turn part of this into a golf course and perhaps displace what we have here. Mila, why is that a problem?
For me, it's a problem because you're removing productive natural land that the city has already invested decades of time in, as well as financial resources. South Shore also has access to this natural space, and I honestly don't think that it's fair to take it away. So here we are, Jackson Park is losing some acres to built infrastructure, and now South Shore is going to lose some natural area for a different version of natural area that requires the use of chemicals to maintain and intensive management, and also restricts access depending on how you engage the space. So if you're not golfing, then you're not on it. It reduces biodiversity. And just changes its identity. I completely understand that we created this space from rubble, but that doesn't mean that it has to disappear, because now we have a reimagination of what we want this lakefront space to look like. And plus, it's just beautiful, and you can see really great fireworks from here too. There's a monarch
right there. That one's a little pale. I think it's I think that monarch has had a hard life so far. And sometimes they do. And if we turn around here, we can see we are right at the lakefront. And that's one of the joys of this area, is that you get to come right out through this path. And here we are at Lake Michigan. Hold on, I'll give you the mic.
Chicago has the longest stretch of lakefront that is open to the public. It's something that I think is special for us, and we should make sure that it stays accessible and free for everyone, which I think was the plan when it was created.
All right, so what are your plans now to, let me know if you spot anything there, Carolyn. Appreciate it. What particular are you looking for? Oh, looking at the erosion. Oh, okay. So what's planned now for Environmentalists of Color regarding this space?
So beyond the conversation that we just had, it's a continuing offering to our community to translate information, to translate science. I know the president of the South Shore Cultural Center Advisory Council has talked about some questions that they would like answered. So now it's just making ourselves of service and promoting healthy dialogue between community members, elected officials, and individuals from the city.
And Carolyn, as somebody who helped put this together, obviously, and I look at this spot here, and you know how birds migrate. This is probably a place for them to do very well. We talked earlier about Montrose Beach and the controversy at Montrose Beach. I'm surprised there isn't just as much controversy about this site.
Well, I think that I was on the Piping Pulver Watch. I contributed a few hours there because even though I live now in Indiana, in Whiting, Indiana, wherever birds are in jeopardy, I try to help the birds. Now, I think there is a big difference between Montrose, the wonderful campaign there against the music festival on the beach. I also feel, though, that none of these beaches should have those great musical festivals. I think that the beaches should be free for the people to be used at all times and not be money makers for the big rich people. And there's plenty of indoor places for jazz festivals and other in all the festivals, that music festivals that we have. So I think the difference is this is President Obama's library, which is now a center. And so I'm not pleased that they did a flip-flop on that it started out as a presidential library and now it's a center. And I am very upset about Jackson Park. The Wooded Isle is a bird sanctuary. It has history, Senator Douglas saved that. He saved the Indiana Dunes and all. And Obama is disrespecting, in my opinion, the history of the politicians that saved Jackson Park for the people. Now, I am a supporter of the POP, the lawsuit, and I'm also keep up on issues with the Jackson Park Watch group, which I think is an excellent, it's an excellent way to keep up on all the news because they, as others, attend all the meetings, and we have to attend all these meetings. I have great hope that the birding organizations that united to save the piping plover will come out and really unite to have this. In my opinion, the presidential center should be in Washington Park. I was at meetings there for 3 hours years ago, and Washington Park seemed to be the best area for this.
Well, I guess the point is, and we'll wrap this up, I wanted to introduce people to this area who have not been down here and to the issue. Part of the issue is you don't see lands like this very often, and once they're gone, they're gone. You don't get them back. Yeah, they've offered to move this area, but it has already begun to develop. And you brought up something else, Mila, earlier, which is chemicals from golf courses in the lake, and putting a golf course right on the lake is they're gonna leach. There's no, you can't get away from that, especially if it's going to be a PGA quality course. You're gonna have that. What's that?
It seems kind of strange in light of the Flint fiasco, in light of Chicago identifying lead and the legislation that's been passed in Illinois to kind of focus on water pollution and water quality and water health for people of color. It seems counter to what it is you think that elected officials would prioritize. And I'm a green entrepreneur. I strongly love all green, especially money. I do believe that there's a way to have both, and it requires us to have partnerships with companies and developers that have the same types of environmental ethics and priorities as we do. But first, we need to have a shared environmental ethic for humans and nature that is a consensus, because 77 equals 1.
Well, folks, I better take this back. Nobody's going to hear me if I'm yelling across. Thank you guys both for coming out and here on a slightly drizzly day, but it's still a beautiful day. And I would advise folks to come down to the South Shore Cultural Center and come to the Bird and Butterfly Sanctuary here. And there were some monarchs earlier. I don't think I'm going to be able to track them down now. So I'm going to be on the show tomorrow. We're going to have, Mila, we're going to have you and your group on very soon, and we will talk about this issue. See you tomorrow. It's Mike Novak from the Mike Novak Show at the South Shore Cultural Center, and I've got to turn this thing off now, don't I?